An attack order was issued from the White House. In the middle of the Pacific, a drug-running ship was suddenly wiped out. 3 terrorists were eliminated in an instant. President Trump acted, and the world couldn't react in time. This isn't an action movie. This is real, and you're about to witness the full, never-before-revealed sequence of events. The U.S. president not only approved it, but also directly monitored the situation from the Situation Room. An emergency meeting was convened at 3 a.m. U.S. Intelligence confirmed. A drug-running ship was moving abnormally, suspected of carrying weapons and terrorist operatives. There was no time left to negotiate. The strike order was signed that very night with a single line, "Act now." The U.S. Navy immediately deployed forces. 2 Zumwalt-class destroyers, a P-8 Poseidon reconnaissance aircraft, and a SEAL Special Operations team were activated. Objective: locate the ship, disable its communications, and neutralize the entire threat. This was not a routine patrol, it was a manhunt on the high seas. The recon aircraft detected the target 300 nautical miles off Mexico's coast. The ship flew no flag, broadcast no signal, and was moving at high speed. Infrared imagery showed multiple armed individuals on deck. A warning signal was issued. No response. The ship continued toward international waters. At that moment, the intercept order was given. The U.S. had deployed the AN/SPY-6 radar system aboard USS Zumwalt. This radar can scan targets over 400 kilometers away, analyzing movement, heat, and electronic emissions. Combined with the P-8 Poseidon flying at 10,000 meters, the entire area around the freighter was monitored by the second. Not a single signal escaped control. Once the exact position was fixed, the SEAL team was inserted by MH-60R helicopter. They approached by high-speed boats carrying M4A1 rifles, night vision goggles, and GPS gear. A terrorist standing guard on deck noticed unusual movement. He raised his weapon but was dropped instantly by a precise shot from a sniper. He collapsed without raising the alarm, and no one noticed. 2 ringleaders and 3 aides immediately tried to flee in coordination. They hauled crates onto the deck and threw them overboard, hoping to erase evidence. But the SEALs had already closed in, giving them no chance. A grenade was tossed into the lower hold where 2 suspects were holed up, triggering an explosion that shook the hull. The remaining 3 were subdued on deck. U.S. forces seized more than 2 tons of cocaine, numerous weapons, and encryption devices. A small portion of data was extracted from the computers before flames spread. The decision was made: destroy the ship to prevent the risk of explosion or chemical leakage. A Tomahawk cruise missile was launched from USS Zumwalt. In just 45 seconds, it pierced the cloud layer and drove straight into the target. The blast rocked the sea surface. The drug-running vessel erupted in flames. Thick black smoke billowed out, spreading for hundreds of meters. This moment marked the end of an international criminal network. Right after the explosion, the SEALs approached the wreck by high-speed boat. They found 3 bodies, all armed terrorist operatives. A severely injured survivor was handed over to Mexico for investigation. On board, U.S. forces seized more than 2 tons of cocaine, automatic weapons, and documents linked to a South American terrorist organization. The operation didn't end with an explosion. U.S. forces conducted a full search of the wreck. What they found exceeded all expectations. Over 2 tons of tightly packaged cocaine, a trove of automatic weapons, and a classified dossier detailing plans to attack U.S. territory. This wasn't just smuggling, it was a large-scale terror plot. As the SEALs moved through the wreck, blood traces and spent casings on deck showed there had been a firefight before the ship was destroyed. A still-hot rifle lay across the railing. Experts concluded the group had prepared to fight to the death but never got the chance. Inside the ship, U.S. forces discovered an encrypted safe. After breaching it, they found maps of transcontinental drug trafficking routes, plus lists of receiving points in Asia and Africa. This was proof the network operated not only in the Americas but had octopus-like tentacles worldwide. One shocking detail: among the seized documents was a plan to attack U.S. territory using explosives hidden in cargo containers. If not stopped, the consequences would have been unimaginable. That is why this operation was not merely about destroying a smuggling ship, it was about preventing a disaster on American soil. Recovered data was sent back to Washington. Analysts confirmed the group behind it was a South American narco-terror network with links to Middle Eastern extremist organizations. This is a new and extremely dangerous, highly unpredictable form of criminal alliance. The White House issued a statement. "We will show no mercy to drugs and terrorism. Anyone who threatens national security will be dealt with without leniency." The line became a headline across international media. The world began to ask, is this the start of a comprehensive naval campaign at sea? International reaction spread quickly. Mexico and Colombia expressed support, calling it a necessary step to protect the region. However, some human rights groups criticized the strike in international waters. The United Nations requested that the U.S. provide a detailed report on the legal basis of the operation. Washington responded, "This action is based on the legitimate right of self-defense against a terrorist threat." The message was clear. The U.S. will act before danger can spread. The world began to wonder, is this the beginning of a global naval campaign? Military analysts called it an operation of absolute precision. The use of cruise missiles, reconnaissance aircraft, and SEAL teams shows the U.S. is combining high technology with traditional warfare. No mistakes, no U.S. casualties. A clean, swift, and overwhelming campaign. However, a question arises. Why was the operation launched at this particular time? Did U.S. intelligence uncover a plot to strike before the election? Or was this a strategic move to bolster domestic standing? Whatever the reason, this blow has reshaped the balance of power on the oceans. International drug trafficking organizations are in turmoil. The Pacific route has been disrupted. Many criminal groups are being forced to change tactics and shift to other waters. But can they escape? Once the U.S. is active, nowhere is safe. The operation also had a strong economic effect. Defense contractors' stocks surged. Private security firms received new contracts. Meanwhile, the Pacific maritime shipping market entered a state of heightened alert. At ports across Central and South America, controls were tightened. Hundreds of ships are being inspected daily. Global logistics costs have risen, causing hardship for many small businesses. But for governments, it's the price to stop drugs and terrorism. Residents in coastal areas of Mexico and Colombia are beginning to feel the change. Patrols have increased. Controls are stricter. Some areas once known as smuggling hotbeds are now quiet. However, fears of retaliation by criminal organizations still smolder. For the U.S. military, this was a model operation. No casualties, no errors, and absolute effectiveness. The SEALs returned safely, carrying evidence sufficient to trigger an international investigation. Even so, some experts warn the operation could provoke stronger reactions from criminal groups. A direct U.S. strike may push them into a corner. Domestic security agencies are being placed on high alert. From a nighttime attack order to an explosion at sea to impacts rippling worldwide, this operation demonstrates America's military power and political resolve. But is this the end or merely the beginning of a long campaign? After the operation concluded, the CIA began tracing the organization behind the ship. Data recovered from the onboard computers showed tight links to a transcontinental trafficking network headquartered in Venezuela with branches in Africa. This is not a small group, but a clandestine system that has operated for more than a decade. The reaction spread across the globe. Brazil, Panama, and the United Nations simultaneously ramped up maritime controls. A single operation set off a global domino effect, forcing nations to tighten maritime security. Behind the scenes at the White House gradually came into view. President Trump tracked every satellite feed, every report from the Zoom vault, every SEAL order. He didn't just sign the order, he coordinated the entire operation minute by minute, second by second.
Clear.
What do you think of this action, justified or over the line? Leave a comment below and subscribe to the channel for the latest analyses of global military developments. The war on drugs and terrorism isn't over. Don't forget to follow the channel for updates on the latest developments. The war on drugs is not over, and what's coming may be even fiercer. Thank you for staying with us to the very end. See you in the next briefing.